So this is really interesting, right? I mean, I think this year Nvidia's GTC seemed to be happening right on the crest of a wave around, GPT and large language models. It seems that AI is in everyone's minds now, right? We've talked about it for a long time in technology circles and in analyst circles, but it feels like it's really kind of grabbed the zeitgeist of the general population now. So yeah, I don't know. Is GTC going to be more exciting this year because of all the buzz around the things that their tools are used to build?
Well, I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take a hard look and kind of push out the marketing aspect of it, which is one of the things that I love to do. We referenced last week in the rundown the fact that Microsoft came out and announced that ChatGPT is kind of powered by these Nvidia cards, and they were talking about how awesome it was and everything like that. But look at what Nvidia is offering at GTC. Are they offering these huge honking dragster GPUs that will, do crunch data models, all this other stuff? Well, yeah, of course they are. I mean, it's like if they announced the new Corvette and it wasn't a little bit faster and a little bit sleeker and a little bit less comfortable. Yeah, you kind of expect that. But what was actually shocking to me was the fact that they're kind of shrinking some of the stuff down. I mean, when you look at the H100, which one of the news sites affectionately called it just two A100s welded together. But also the Ada Lovelace for laptops and for small form factor machines. What the NVIDIA has realized with AI and folks that use things like Stable Diffusion and all that other stuff is having a massive supercompute cluster to do this is a luxury. Most people do not need to do this kind of processing across this massive window of data sets. I mean, there was a quote that I heard from somebody in the last couple of weeks. It costs Microsoft something, or OpenAI technically, something on the order of like $170 million to run the model for GPT. So they don't want to do it very often. But when I'm doing something on a very, very small scale, like maybe I'm indexing all the things on my machine or something like that, I don't need a GPU that requires its own, generator out back. Like I just need something that's big enough to run against the model that I have or that I need to build. I mean, the cat picks on Stable Diffusion don't need like a Whopper sized supercompute cluster. And so I think that Nvidia realizes that the only way that they're going to be able to sell this outside of the big companies is to offer something that is reasonably priced for what I want to do with it. And remember, reasonably priced does not mean cheap. Although I will say that one of the other things that a lot of people have commented on is that Nvidia looked like they were headed to a very hard decision point of the crypto market. Kind of the bottom has completely fallen out of it all the way down to the bottom of a bottomless pit. And so people are not paying, 400 or 500, 600% over retail value for these cards now. So how is NVIDIA going to keep the pricing high on them? Okay, well, we're going to throw in a whole bunch of extra features that a few people need. So I part of me wants to say that at least they're kind of considering the fact that the top 10 AI users in the world are not always going to be NVIDIA customers. But I think that the other part of this whole discussion is, do I really want to buy a brand new card that has all of these features that I may not possibly be able to take advantage of unless I'm some kind of an AI developer? I don't know where that ends. But, then we look at the other announcements. Like we've already talked about Bluefield 3. That's something that's super exciting to me. And it almost got a footnote. Hey, Bluefield 3 is in production and shipping. We're going to use it on Oracle. Did we mention about this ray tracing thing that we're talking about? Like I don't know. That's been the thing for me is like if you're using GPUs to do all of these other workload things, how do you divorce that from the higher frame rate Call of Duty players? I don't have an answer for that. I wish I did.
Yeah, it's interesting. It reminds me also of some of the uses of some of these ASICs and things, GPUs for the crypto mining and how that kind of drove up the prices to the point where gamers couldn't even find or buy these GPUs, and then of course they start to wear out and people start selling them and you get them on kind of the gray market afterwards. And I wonder if the similar dynamics are pushing and pulling between the gaming world and the business world, the AI world, how that will all kind of coalesce. And the other piece that I think NVIDIA has been focusing on, it seems like at least to some degree, maybe it's just because that's where my focus is, on cybersecurity. And they've got some quite a few interesting sessions at GTC around cybersecurity. One of them is something that I haven't quite looked into too much yet, but I'm really interested in, which is this Nvidia Morpheus, an open application framework for cybersecurity developers to use AI-based cybersecurity solutions in the applications they're building. So, as I said, I don't know too much about it yet, but super interesting. I think there is this kind of constant arms race going on in the cybersecurity world, where as AI gets more sophisticated, we see more and more threat actors starting to use AI on the attacks they're doing and the way they're planning attacks and the way they're obfuscating attacks. And so, seeing these advances from the NVIDIA side, where they're using their technology to kind of enhance what we can do with AI-based cybersecurity defense mechanisms is pretty reassuring, I guess.
And I think that you brought up an interesting point earlier when we talked about the fact that the security market seems to be headed toward this detection and response kind of offering, XDR, EDR, whatever you're going to call it, whatever it ends up being this next week. That heavily relies on these kinds of AI machine learning models to look at anomalies and provide context around them. I had a conversation with a company that's doing some, security type related things yesterday, as a matter of fact. And one of the things that they were talking about was the fact that you can do pattern matching all day long, but it doesn't take much to provide a way to escape that. I mean, think about something like a social security number. If I'm just scanning for 3 digits dash 2 digits dash 4 digits in a system, all I have to do is change the way that those digits are represented. However, if there's an AI model that can look at it and tell me, okay, well, I noticed that there's these 9 digits that are around a name and provided in a context that makes me think that this is PII, so you should probably be worried about this being stored in a document that's in a public S3 bucket. Like, that's the kind of thing that AI provides value for. The problem is that, of course, when we democratize AI, which is a term that NVIDIA has kind of championed, it means that the attackers get access to that too. So now I'm going to train my model to look for 9-digit numbers next to a name, and hopefully that can give me some kind of a value for my money, if you want to call it. Although when you think about the money, what's it going to cost me? About 58 cents to run this on a supercompute cluster to train the model. So I don't know. I think that NVIDIA has a lot of great hardware, because I mean that's who they are. They're a hardware company. And it's up to us to find the applications to run that hardware in a way that augments what we're doing, not replaces what we're doing. I mean, I was having this extended argument with my friends yesterday about Chat GPT replacing people writing like legal stuff, like looking up case law. It's a tool. They're all tools. We have to integrate them into our workflows to make them make sense. If we think that it's just going to replace this drudgery of our job, the problem is that once the AI has replaced the drudgery, the job is not going to get done because the AI needs data to pull from. And then it's going to get caught in a feedback loop. So it's up to us to continue to provide that context, whether it's around security or networking or, cat pics. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. One last kind of use case there, I think, in the cybersecurity stuff that you mentioned, just to put in there, is, zero trust network access is another area that I think will be, in addition to the detection and response stuff that AI can help with, the zero trust network access is really interesting, I think, especially when you're talking about, potentially hundreds or thousands of IoT devices that need access to a network and being able to determine, is this, adversarial or not. Anyway, yeah, all really interesting stuff. And I agree, right? It's really about the applications we can build on top of this hardware that becomes really exciting. And I think that's interesting that that's a lot of what this GTC conference has talked about. There's a lot of developer-centric sessions that are talking about, hey, here's how here's what you can build with this. Here's how you can build with this. Some kind of reference architecture type things, how to build a great cloud with their hardware. I think they're approaching it in the right way.